am pleased to announce that we have Mr. Eric Darius here today. He is traveling, an international saxophonist, jazz, hip-hop, all the above, R&B. He's playing at Rehoboth Beach Jazz Festival tonight. So that's, if you guys, anybody can get down there, it's an incredible show. They have a whole weekend of amazing artists. Najee is going to be there this weekend too. Alexander, really a young piano player. And then so also just a great show. So I also want to say thank you for the music department for helping this happen. And really just having Eric come, as he's on his way to Rehoboth Beach tonight, and then he's also going to Cancun, or he just got back from Cancun. He's going to Napa Valley, so he's definitely on an international tour. So just appreciate what you learned from him. Just enjoy the show. We first he's going to play for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then we're going to have a student group and part of the Jazz Combo come up and join and play with him. So enjoy the show. Thank you.
Delaware State, how's everybody? Well, I'm Eric Darius. Thank you guys so much for having me this afternoon. I'll tell you a little bit about my story, but I want to get this party started with some music. Can I do that? Nah, I can't hear you. Can we do that? That's what I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to do a song for you that I wrote that's off of my, what album is it on? My On a Mission album. This song is called Let's Go. Thank you so much. Again, that was a song called Let's Go. I wrote that about 12 years ago. And do we have any musicians out here? Wonderful, we got quite a bit. That's beautiful. Well, you know, I started playing the saxophone at the age of 10. And I come from a musical household. My dad plays the bass, my mom sings and plays the piano, my older brother plays the drums and the trumpet, my sister sings. So ever since I was a little kid, I just had a love and passion for music. And one thing about music is, it's such a beautiful tool of expression. And I realized that when I first started playing the saxophone, I like to compare the saxophone to like the human voice because it's so expressive. So I practice and practice and practice. For all the musicians out there, how many of you guys practice every day by a show of hands? Oh, I don't see as many hands. So the key to getting better, not even music, at anything, is practice. It's repetition. Just constantly trying to improve your playing, your technique, and then you just create your own style and sound after you've mastered the art of your instrument. And so at the age of 10, I joined this band called America's Youngest Jazz Band. The band was from ages 5 through 12, and we were playing old school jazz, Dixieland. So there's 30 kids in this band, and we actually performed at the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland when I was 11. And I was in front of thousands of people. None of those people spoke English, but when we were playing music, I saw them dancing, smiling, and clapping. That's when I realized that music is a universal language. It's a language that we can all relate to, no matter where you're from. Music is what brings us all together. So I had an epiphany. Just in front of thousands of people, 11-year-old kid, I'm standing there. And I'm like, you know what? I want to do this for the rest of my life because I just enjoyed this so much and I love connecting with people. So that's what made me fall in love with just performing. So once I turned 13, I was too old for the band because the band was from ages 5 through 12. So I literally got kicked out. So I had to find my way to figure out what was next. So I kept on practicing. I was practicing maybe 4 or 5 hours every single day. My parents would have to pull me out of my room just to come and eat because I was just so hungry to learn and to get better. So my dad had this idea, well, if you want to keep performing, let me go to all the restaurants and places in Tampa Bay, which was my hometown, see if I can get some opportunities for you. So before I knew it, by the time I turned 13, I was playing at restaurants, bars, parties, weddings. I was doing over 100 shows a year as a 13-year-old kid. So I was on the grind from day one. And it's all about hard work, you know. So once I turned 14, I went to Blake High School, performing arts school, studied music there. And at Blake High School, I was in the jazz band, the wind ensemble, the marching band. We have any folks in the marching band? All right. Marching band, I was on the basketball team, the soccer team, and the track team. So I was a busy kid during school. And on top of that, I was still doing over 100 shows a year on the weekends. So it's all about drive, dedication, and focus. You know, it's so many times I could have gotten unfocused, but music was the driving force behind everything that I love to do. So that was my focus. So I'll tell you a little bit about more of my story, but I'm gonna do some more music for you. Can I do that? So you probably heard my music and you're thinking, you know what, I hear so many different elements of music. It's not just jazz. My music is R&B, it's pop, it's rock, it's hip hop, it's funk, it's reggae, it's soul. It's just music. And that's what I love. I grew up listening to Earth, Wind & Fire, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, Prince, Bob Marley, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, the list goes on and on and on. But I love some of today's contemporary music. Any Bruno Mars fans out here? We have a few. Well, I'm a big Bruno Mars fan because I feel like in mainstream music, he's bringing real music back. Live instruments, bringing that old school sound. So I'm gonna do a song for you. I've actually never played it before, but I'm gonna attempt it today. We'll see if you guys recognize the song. There's a little Silk Sonic with Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. That's the way to end it. Thank you. That was a little bit of skate. You guys recognize that song? All right. Well, as I said, I just love music. And so I studied jazz at Blake High School, and I decided that, I wanted to write some of my own music. And writing has always been my way of expressing myself, expressing my emotions. Whatever I'm feeling, I pour into my music. So I recorded my first album called Cruisin'. And I was 16 years old. I was a junior in high school. I had no clue what I was doing. But I was just having a good time just in the studio making music. So I released that. It was a great, great experience. And so by the time I graduated from high school, my ultimate dream and goal was to go to Juilliard. Anybody familiar with Juilliard? One of the top music programs in the world. And the year I graduated, they actually just started a new jazz program that Wynton Marsalis was going to be in charge of. And that was the ultimate dream for me, because I got to perform with Wynton with my high school, with the Blake High School Jazz Band. We were one of the top jazz bands in the country. Got to perform with Wynton. That inspired me. I wanted to study with him. So I auditioned for Juilliard. There were 3,000 kids, actually students and grown adults that auditioned for Juilliard. They were going to select 10 saxophones out of the 3,000 that auditioned all over the world. And again, this was their first year, so there were students and there was grown adults that were auditioning. So I auditioned, sent in my tape, and I was one of the 10 that got selected to audition in New York. So I knew I was on the right track. So I do this audition. I'm in front of Wynton Marsalis, Ron Carter, an incredible list of musicians, Nicholas Payton, and I'm doing my audition. I thought it went great. And so 2 weeks later, I get a letter in the mail that said that I didn't make it. So I was heartbroken. Truly, there was nothing more that I wanted than to go to Juilliard. And I was just trying to figure it out. I was just so down and out. But I didn't let that stop me from pursuing my dream. So you know what? After I picked myself up, I stayed in Tampa Bay, my hometown, and I just studied and focused on my craft, which is learning my saxophone so I can get better and better, because I didn't want to get denied again. So I studied music and business at the University of South Florida in Tampa, and it was in my sophomore year that, I'd just been getting so much exposure, performing as much as I can, developing a fan base. Somebody came to see me perform at the Clearwater Jazz Festival. So it just goes to show you never know who's watching. Always put your best foot forward, because opportunity of a lifetime can come when you least expect it. But this person came up to me and said, you know what, I heard you perform. I want to sign you to a record deal. And my mind was literally blown. As a musician, the ultimate dream is to get signed to a record label so you can be an international recording artist, and that's exactly what happened to me at the age of 19. So I say that to say, it was actually a blessing in disguise that I didn't get to go to Juilliard, because I would have never gotten the opportunity to get signed as a recording artist. So God had a different plan for me. My plan was to go to Juilliard, but he had other plans for me, and it was truly a blessing in disguise. So I recorded my first album in 2004, Night on the Town, and since then I've recorded 6 albums, actually 7, and I've had so many incredible experiences getting to perform with Prince, Jamie Foxx, Mary J. Blige, Carlos Santana, David Foster. The list just goes on, but it's all because I never gave up, and it started with a dream. So I want to encourage all of you that there's going to be ups and downs. That's a part of life. But if you believe in yourself and go 110%, anything is possible. So I'm a true testament to that. And after being signed to 4 different record labels, I actually felt like, you know what, it was time to really take that leap of faith and believe in myself and start my own record label. So just 3 years ago, we have any Sagittarius in the building? Okay, there's like 3. Well, I'm one of them. I decided to call my record label Sagittarius Music. You see what I did there? And, it's been an amazing journey just releasing music as an independent artist, but I had to study and understand the business aspect of music, because once you get into the music industry, you realize that 90% of it is business. And so it's important that you understand finances, marketing, management, all that good stuff, and that's what will really make you a successful musician and an artist trying to navigate through the music business. So I stand on this stage today because of hard work, and I live by the 5 Ps, which is practice, patience, persistence, perseverance, and my 5th P is prayer, because that's the foundation of everything that I do. So with that said, I'd like to do another original song for you. And like I said, my music incorporates so many different styles and sounds, so I like trap music. You guys like trap music? So you're probably looking at me like, trap music and jazz don't go together. Yes, it does. Music is music. So I want to incorporate some elements of trap music, mix it with jazz. There's a song that I wrote that's called Traz. Thank you. That's a little bit of Traz for you. You know, one of the most important things that one of my heroes told me. Anybody familiar with David Sanborn? One of the true saxophone greats. And, you know, I always wanted to sound like David Sanborn. As a matter of fact, he's one of the people that inspired me to want to play the alto saxophone. So I went to a music store, bought a mouthpiece, because I asked them, what mouthpiece do you have that would make me sound like David Sanborn? They pointed to this mouthpiece. I bought it, took it home, practiced, and I sounded nothing like David Sanborn. And I was actually pretty upset because that's why I bought it. So I practiced on it, learned on it, and you know what? I started to develop my own sound. So when I first met David Sanborn, I was about 18 years old, and I told him that story about that mouthpiece. And he said, you know what? That's amazing, but the most important thing that you can do as a musician is develop your own style and your own sound. So for all of you musicians, listen to the greats. Listen to the best musicians on your instrument, learn from them, throw that out the window, then become you. Develop your own style, your own sound, and that's what makes the greats the greats. You hear Michael Jackson sing, you know it's him. Everybody tries to be like Michael, but there's only one Michael Jackson. But you know what? There's only one you. So be you, do everything you can, and the best is yet to come. So that's my story. And I'd actually like to bring some of the kids up, the students, to come and join me right now. We're going to do a little talk about improvisation for a little bit. So we're going to do a little bit of blues. So come on up, give a hand for these students up here. So we're going to talk just for a moment about improvisation. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, improvisation is the foundation of jazz, which is the process of spontaneously creating new melodies while playing over the existing chord structure. So in other words, you're just making stuff up on the fly, playing based on how you feel. And, you know, I like to compare jazz to like learning a foreign language. Anybody here speak Spanish? He said, yo hablo español. Anybody speak French? Anybody speak jazz? There we go, these guys back here. So jazz is literally like a language, and in order to understand it and to speak it and play it through your instrument, you have to study it just like you would a language. And so I like to say that there is no wrong note in jazz, but there are better choices than others. So as you learn jazz, as you study it, as you understand what it's all about, you'll realize that jazz is such a beautiful, diverse, complex style of music. But once you can play jazz, honestly, you can play anything. So that's the beautiful thing about jazz. And a quick thing about improvisation, you know, everybody's wondering, how do I improvise? Where do I start? I don't even know what to play. And one thing that I'll say is learn your instrument first. Learn your instrument inside and out. Study your instrument. Get to know your instrument. And that will lay the foundation for anything that you play and what you do. So we're going to do a little demonstration. And I'll talk you guys through it for a little bit so you understand what's going on. So can we do a little bit of B-flat blues? Just a couple. So basically, jazz is the true original art form of music in America. So that's the foundation of all music. And we're gonna keep it as simple as possible so that you understand what it's all about. So it's based off of a whole bunch of scales: harmonic scales, melodic scales, minor scales, chromatic scales, blues scales. But when you put all of those things together, that's what makes jazz. So I'm gonna play along with these guys and just tell you a little about what I'm doing. So when you look at music, you'll see the chords on a sheet of paper. And those chords is basically like a road map. Those chords is basically like a road map to tell you what direction to go and what notes to play. And you follow those like you would a map. So what I like to do is I look at those chords and I'll outline them. I'll learn the triads, the notes of each of those chords, and go from one chord to the next and basically try to connect the dots. And that's what jazz is really all about. So I'm just gonna keep it really simple, and I'll show you what improvisation is all about. So starting with one note. So I'm just keeping it real simple. Basically just playing the foundation of the chord, which is the first two notes. So now I'm gonna add a third note, which is the foundation of the chord. And then I'm also just making up little rhythms. Whatever I'm feeling, that's what I'm playing. So here we go. So basically, I'm just kind of adding to what I'm doing. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a little riff, which is just a little motif, a little melody that I'm gonna mess around and try to develop that. So I'm just keeping it simple, then I'm gonna gradually add to it. So that's basic improvisation. So you guys can keep on going. So that's the foundation. And the thing is, the most important thing you can do in terms of learning improvisation is listening. So as a saxophone player, pick up some John Coltrane albums, listen to some Charlie Parker. As a trumpet player, listen to Miles Davis, listen to Freddie Hubbard. As a keyboard player, listen to Oscar Peterson, listen to Herbie Hancock. Put your instrument down and just listen. So the most important thing is developing your ear. So as you listen to these musicians, transcribing is a key to learning how to improvise. Listen to the songs over and over and over and over again. Try to sing it. Sing those melodies, sing those notes that they're playing, and you'll be surprised that you'll retain most of what you listen to. So after you sing all the notes and you know exactly what they're playing, then pick up your instrument and try to play it. And that's how you learn the true language of jazz. So it's literally a language. Now, one of the things that's fun for jazz is it's communication between me and the musicians. And the old school thing that they used to do is called call and response, which means I'd play something, then the next musician would play something, then the next musician would play something, and we feed off of each other. So that's literally like me just having a conversations with my friends. So we're gonna build on that. We're gonna do a little bit of trading fours. And let's start a conversation. You guys ready? So I'll solo first, you'll solo next, and you'll solo. You want to solo? Let's just trade fours. So we'll take turns. So the whole goal is listening to each other, trying to pick up where they left off, and then taking the ball and run with it. It's like the Olympics when you see them handing off the baton. So I'm running, I'm gonna give it to him, he's gonna take it and run with it, then he's gonna take that baton, pass it over to him, then he's gonna play something, then he's gonna pass it on. That's jazz. It's just a simple conversation, but it's through music. So here we go. So that is the foundation of jazz. And I want to encourage you, it's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. As a matter of fact, if you don't make mistakes, I'd be worried. Nobody's a perfect musician, nobody's a perfect improvisationalist, but you just have to learn from your mistakes, then you can get better and better and better. So allow yourselves to make mistakes. It's okay. That's how you start, that's how you get better, you learn from them. And one of the key things about jazz is phrasing. And I love to listen to vocalists like a Whitney Houston. Just a simple note, how she uses the notes and she bends it. She does all these different inflections with her voice. I try to do those same things with the saxophone. So it's very melodic, it's very spiritual because you feel connected to the music, the notes that you're playing. And when I solo, I try to tell a story. So I want to start somewhere, maybe play a few notes, and then just build and grow from there. And that's really what jazz is all about. So for you guys on stage, you're doing an amazing job. Keep on practicing, and most importantly, keep on listening. Listen to all the grace of your instrument, learn what they're doing, and then develop your own style and your own sound. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what jazz is all about. So give it up one more time for these amazing guys back here. So I want to open it up to you guys just for a moment. Do you guys have any questions for me about my journey, about the music business, or anything? If you have a question, just raise your hand. Over here. I think one of the biggest failures was just trying to find my own identity. You know, there's millions of saxophone players, and I was like, how do I distinguish myself from everybody else? And I went back to that conversation that I had with David Sanborn. He said, listen to the grace, but develop your own style. And it took time. It took years. I really don't feel like I found my voice and developed my own distinct sound until after I've been playing maybe about 14 years, maybe even longer. So that's one of the biggest challenges as a musician, is to find your own lane, find your own voice. And once you do that, the sky's the limit. The biggest triumphs is just always following my dreams, never letting anything stop me. I've always been a driven person, so through all the difficulties in life, I've just always pushed through. And a lot of that is deep-rooted in my faith. That's what's guided me throughout my whole career. And so I think the biggest triumph is just never giving up. Just keep on going, and you know, once you've made it to the top, the problem is, how do you stay there? So I'm always pushing myself. I've had 6 number ones on the Billboard charts, but I'm like, I gotta get to number 7. Then I'm like, okay, I gotta get to number 8. So you gotta just keep on pushing yourself, and that's what I've done. Over here. Yes, absolutely. The 5 Ps, which has been the foundation of everything that I do, which has really guided me along my journey, is practice, whole lot of practice, patience. You gotta be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to make the mistakes, keep learning, keep growing. Practice, patience, persistence. Don't ever give up, keep on pushing. Practice, patience, persistence, perseverance. That's a key. And then prayer. For me, that's been the foundation of my whole life. So those are the 5 Ps that's been the guiding principles behind everything that I do and every decision that I make. We have a question over here. What was the last part of your question? Oh, good question. What's my next plan? What's my 5 to 10 year plan to achieve that? You know, I want to continue what I'm doing. I've been traveling all over the world, making music, and I started my own record label, and one of my visions with that label is to make a platform for other upcoming artists. I want to sign other young upcoming artists to my record label and give them an opportunity. So if you guys on stage keep on practicing, you never know, I might give you guys a call to join my record label. That's one thing that I'm really looking forward to, growing that. I love going to the schools, encouraging the students about following their dreams. That's a passion of mine. And I really want to just take it to the next level. So I started my campaign. It's called On a Mission in the Schools. I go to elementary, middle, high schools, colleges, about keeping music alive in the schools. And that's something that I'm truly passionate about. And I want to be able to provide musical instruments for the programs that don't even have music instruments. So that's part of my vision. And that's really just the beginning. You know, I'm doing a lot of writing for TV and film, so I want to keep on doing things like that. And just, you know, I don't leave any door closed. There's so many opportunities out there, and I want to explore each and every single one of them. Over here in the front. One of the driving forces behind everything I do is my wife. My wife is over here in the back, Lynn. She truly inspires me to be the best version of myself, and I want to make her proud with everything that I do. So she inspires me in everything that I do. And my family's been very motivational for me. They've always supported me, encouraged me. My dad was my manager from the time I started, so he's been a huge force behind all that I do. But my family and my wife is really what drives me and motivates me to just keep on pushing to be a better version of myself. Over here in the back. How do I get more proficient in the upper register, altissimo notes? So that's a technical saxophone question. One of the things that we do when we're trying to hit a note, the most important thing is you have to hear that note first. So if I'm hearing an A, then I know that's where I need to hit that note. I'm hearing the note, but then a lot of people also want to push. So you actually want to relax and open up your throat, hear the note first, and then just push right through it. And that will start to open up the altissimo range so you can hit all of those high notes. And it takes time. It's a lot of repetition. You're going to miss it. You're going to squeak. But that's part of the whole process. But just doing it over and over and over. But hear the note first. And then that will help and guide you to where you need to go. And keep your throat open and just relax. Don't tense up, because we all tense up and we can't hit that high A or that high B. So just relax and let it flow. Any other questions? We got a question in the back. What was that? How many hours? It's different for everybody. How many hours of practice do you put into learning or perfecting something? It's different for everyone. Everybody learns differently. For me, starting out, I was practicing at least 4 hours every single day. Probably through high school. Once I got to college and I started traveling, I didn't have as much time to practice because I was on the road all the time. But I was constantly listening. So even though I didn't have my saxophone in my hand, when I'm on the airplane, I'm listening. I'm listening to Coltrane. I'm listening to Charlie Parker. And I'm retaining a lot of those notes that I'm hearing. So even though I'm not physically practicing, I'm constantly listening to music. So it's just a part of my daily life. And speaking of life on the road, it's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm on the road 300 days out of the year. So that means I'm home for about 50 days or so. And every day, I get up early in the morning, catch a flight, go to another city. Once I get to that city, we do sound check. Once we're done with sound check, I go to the hotel, relax for maybe an hour. Then we do dinner. Then we do the show. By the time we're done with the show, we're done by 11, 12 o'clock at night. Maybe get 2-3 hours of sleep, get on the plane to do the next city. And I'm literally doing that every single day. But it's the love of music that drives me, that keeps me going. Because it's definitely not easy, but it is so rewarding and worth it when you're really doing something that you love to do. Another question. Over here. What tips do I have for vocalists? Same thing as instrumentalists, listening. Listen, listen, listen. Listen to Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, then listen to contemporary artists like Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. And just learning all the different vocal techniques and inflections. There's so many things you can do as a vocalist that we can't do as an instrumentalist. We try to do what you guys do, but just really listening, that's the key, and developing your range. Everybody wants to sing loud. They want to sing as many notes as possible, and it's not necessary. You just want to sing from your soul. And even as an instrumentalist, we all want to play fast. We want to play high. We want to do all that. But you know what? All of that's not necessary. Just play music. Play what's coming from your heart and just let it flow. And if in the moment you're feeling a few high notes, go for it. But listen to those vocalists, try to learn what they're doing, and control of your voice. That's the most important thing. And just let it flow. Any other questions? Over here in the front. It's a pleasure. Right. How do I determine what the fuse sound's gonna be? That's a good question. I listen to all styles of music, so when I'm listening to those things, that's what's influencing me and inspiring me. And I try to find the common link between jazz. Do I hear common links between R&B and hip hop? You know, with hip hop, a lot of the sounds that you hear is actually from jazz. That's why they sample so many old school jazz records, and Kanye West is doing a beat on top of it. You know, there's so many links between music, and I try to find those common threads and bring them together. So sometimes I have no clue what it's gonna sound like when it's finished. Like Traz, I don't know what trap and jazz is gonna sound like together, but let me experiment. Let's see what it sounds like. And when I start putting it together, I'll make little tweaks, and then finally it just becomes a song. But it's really just finding the common threads between all those genres of music and making it one. You know, you can't even categorize an artist like Prince because he's pop, but then again, he's rock, but then again, he's R&B, and then again, he's funk, you know? So it's just music. You bring all of those elements together, and that's what it's all about. Question back here. Right. Ooh, that's a good question. What was that moment when I finally found my voice? You know, I think it was probably just after I finished college. I was out on the road, I was touring with my band, and I was playing my own music. I think I was actually performing in Japan. And Japan is interesting because they truly love music. And I'm used to people reacting, and I'm used to people clapping and dancing, have a good time. But culturally, they're just very respectful, they're quiet. And immediately after the show, because, you know, I thought I bombed. I'm like, you know what, nobody's dancing, nobody's clapping, nobody's having a good time. So woe is me, let me go to the back of the stage when I'm done. Let me do the meet and greet with the audience. Once I did the meet and greet, there was a line that went all the way outside the building and wrapped around. I was literally signing for 2 hours. And they were actually listening to every single thing that I was playing. They were like, you know what? I noticed you were playing tenor saxophone on your album, but today you played alto on this song. Or I noticed that you changed this from, you know, that's when I realized, you know what? They're really in tune to what I'm doing. And it made me appreciate actually what I was doing as well, that, you know what, I'm actually starting to develop my own signature style and sound. You know, when you listen to me play, you'll probably hear a lot of different influences because that's who I am, but I sound like me as well. And I think probably shortly after college when I was on the road, that's when I felt like I truly found myself, found my voice, and I've just been following that ever since. Any other questions? All right, well, I actually have a question for you. So, again, I said I studied music and I studied business, so I think it's important as any musician to understand the business aspect of music. That's why I started my own record label. Marketing, branding, you guys have social media. It's an amazing platform, so use that to your advantage. Promote yourself, promote your craft, but don't do that before you've been practicing, you've developed your artistry. So I started my own merch line, and it kind of looks like Michael Jordan, but it's actually the Eric Darius is what I call it. Because during my show, I always do this high jump. So that's my little merch line. We have hats, shirts, cups, all kinds of stuff. So I'm gonna give this shirt away. So who wants it? All right, I'm gonna ask you a question. So if you get the answer right, then I'll give you the shirt. You got a question? All right, let me come up with something really good. Okay, what's the name of my record label? I saw that hand first. That's it, Sagittarius Music. All right. Got one more to go. What city did I grow up in? I saw her hand go up first. Yes, Tampa Bay. Awesome. All right, I think we're running out of time, but I want to jam with these guys. Can we do that? Make some noise for these guys back here. Now, Stevie Wonder is one of my favorite artists. And in my humble opinion, I think he's one of the greatest songwriters of all time. And as we're talking about fusing genres together, Stevie is really the prototype that we all follow. His music is hip-hop, it's R&B, it's pop, it's rock, it's gospel, it's funk, it's soul, it's reggae, and that's why I love Stevie. And he makes music with conscious lyrics and just beautiful music. So we're gonna do a Stevie Wonder classic. We're gonna feature these guys back here. There's a little superstition.
looking glass. 7 years of bad luck, good things in the past. Oh, when you believe in things that you don't understand, when you suffer, superstition in the way. Oh, very superstitious. Wash your face and hands. Rid me of my problems. Do all that you can. Keep me in the daydream, yeah. Keep me going stronger. You don't wanna save me, no, no. So how sad is that song? Oh, you believe in things that you don't understand. You suffer. Superstition ain't the way. No, no. Yeah.
Please give it up one more time for these amazing students. Delaware State University. Make some noise. Yes, yes, yes. Such a pleasure to share the stage with you guys. Amazing job. Please keep up the great work. And the most important thing I want you guys to remember, always follow your dreams. I don't care if you're 20, I don't care if you're 50. It is never too late. As long as you believe in yourself, put God first, all things are possible. So go for it. Don't stop. I wish you the best in your journey. Thank you so much for letting me be here with you guys this afternoon. Such an honor. And I hope we get a chance to do it all over again. So I look forward to coming back. And just a quick note or reminder, I'll be performing tonight at the Rehoboth Beach Convention Center for the Jazz Festival at 8 o'clock tonight. So make sure you come and check it out. Another incredible violinist, Damien Escobar, is going to be performing as well. So it's going to be an action-packed night. So you don't want to miss it. So go ahead and check it out. I'll see you guys there. Again, you can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter under Eric Darius. That's ERIC DARIUS. Thank you again so much for having me. God bless you all. And I wish you the best in all you do. Thank you. And shout out to the staff. Ms. Becker, thank you so much for having me. We'll see you guys next time.